skeleton, basically, for all major projects that occur in the parks now. It's now called the Foundation for Geauga Parks, but the essence of it is still there and very strong. Another one was Orchard Hills Preserves. How many times have you heard that a golf course could be turned into a park? And I don't think there was any kind of a project like that in the state of Ohio before Orchard Hills was purchased. And if you've been there, it's a real great combination of active uses, passive uses. There's a sled riding hill that I remember used to be on the 18th hole. So the pavilions, but it's very, very heavily used. One of Tom's real goals was to create a bike trail known as the Maple Highlands Trail on an old railroad right-of-way. And it is now a trail that goes nearly it's over 21 miles. It runs from the Lake County line almost down to Trumbull County. And if it was not for Tom's persistence, walking that trail before it was purchased, negotiating with adjacent landowners, working out the details, that trail would not be in existence. That's one of Tom's premier goals, and it's his legacy. So one of the last is Observatory Park. I remember when Tom called my wife and I to come in, he said, you know, we have this telescope that was given to us. It's a really nice telescope, it's handmade, but we don't know what to do with it. I think we ought to put it out in Montville and open up a park so people can go out there in the dark. And they said, Tom, what? We're going to have this, so people are driving at night in the middle of nowhere. Well, if you've been there, I hope all of you have, you know what an absolute gem it is. And Kathy Haynes, who's Tom's secretary, was very active in getting the Dark Sky certification, which is one of the few parks east of the Mississippi that has that. It's an international award, and we now have the 2 telescopes up. There's a planetary trail. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, unique park for our area. Nature Scopes is another one. Nature Scopes means that every 5th grader in every school in Geauga County, private or public, is given the opportunity to use binoculars in the fall, and during the school period, then has the opportunity to have various nature kinds of courses with their teachers, and lo and behold, in the spring, if they satisfied what they're supposed to do, which all of them do, they're given those binoculars. That program has been so successful that it now meets the needs of certain kinds of criteria so the schools can say that the children are receiving appropriate nature education. So Tom built a wonderful, talented staff, and Dan is an example of that. And he had so many dedicated friends in the workforce. Paige Orvis is also here. She worked for Tom at the time. It was interesting that the Geauga Park District celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2011. That was about in the middle of Tom's period. And because of Tom's visionary leadership, he set the tone and mission for the GDP's next 50 years. We're in that next 50-year period. Because of what Tom did, key properties were preserved forever. Appropriate facilities and trails were built, which will be used forever. Extensive nature-based educational programs were developed and will change lives forever. Thanks to his efforts, core elements now cannot be changed of our parks. They can't be altered or destroyed by the vagaries or vicissitudes of elections, by future political fads, or road commissioners. Please introduce and welcome back Tom Curtin. That was a heck of an introduction. It's great to be back. I've missed all of you. Think about you guys all the time.
But you know, it's not about one person. It never has been and never will be. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. The fact that it's about the us and the we, and not the me. Excuse me. I'm in this business because my wife Heidi helped me get my first job in Glacier National Park. And I continued in this business because Heidi would practice interviewing me before I interviewed at Lake Metro Parks and Geauga Park District. She would ask the questions and I would supply the answers and she'd say, oh no, don't say that. Just say this. So I did, and I was hired at those parks. So thanks to Heidi, I've been in this business now about 36 years, which is pretty spectacular when you think you get to go to a park every day to work for 36 years. That's an amazing thing. And you're honoring me today not because of all of you. And this couldn't have happened, what we did at the Park District couldn't happen without the support of course, the voters, and without the staff and the volunteers and the foundation and just all of you. So it's really that we that has brought us, you know, all together today. A couple of individuals I really need to thank, and of course that's Betty Cope, Mark Rezatarski, Bob McCullough, who hired me and gave me the opportunity. Couldn't have done it without them, and of course they wouldn't have been there without Chip Henry. And one time early on, I don't know, maybe in the second or third year, I asked Chip, I said, well, how do you go about appointing the park board? And I think he might have been wondering if I was questioning his ability to appoint good people, which I really wasn't. I was just curious about how he went about doing it. He just looked at me and said, Tom, I appoint good people, I let them do their job. And he was very direct about it, and I said, I got it, and I never asked him after that. We would talk about the Westwoods, you know, and Rich had mentioned how fortunate I was to be hired at the Geauga Park District, and I was so excited to get hired the first day. I show up, and I sit down behind a big desk, and it was all empty, and I sat there, and I looked at the empty desk, and I thought, now what am I going to do? And within minutes, Dan Best and Tim Calley showed up with contracts for the Westwoods Nature Center. Millions of dollars worth of contracts that I had never read. And Dan and Tim kept saying, don't worry, just sign the contract. They've been reviewed by the legal counsel, the board has approved them. All we need is their signature, and they came with pens and everything, so I signed the contract and never had to worry about what I was going to do after that. And you know, speaking of the Westwoods and the foundation, you know, we started a capital campaign at that time, and John and Pat Leach stepped up to run that campaign for the foundation. And that's really what brought us all together and got us working so well together, was that Westwoods campaign, and we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. It was really a great project, and you know, it's just a beautiful building, and the programming that comes out of the building is spectacular too. The staff, couldn't have done it without the staff, and you talk about an amazing group of people who are imaginative and creative and dedicated. You know, it just wasn't me. It was everybody working together to make all these things come together. And the foundation, of course, played a bigger and bigger role as we went along, raising money for all the exhibits that we did, the Ice Age and the Bicentennial and Wild Nights, and of course raising money for Observatory Park and Nature Scopes. And so it was really, again, that group effort for me. I would come up with ideas. I have lots of ideas, but just ask Paige. But those ideas would have just lay there if it wasn't for the staff and the volunteers and the foundation that really brought all those ideas to fruition. And, you know, Observatory Park, that was a great collaboration with all kinds of folks. Case Western Reserve University, the Chagrin Valley Astronomical Society, Hiram College, and just bunches and bunches of people. And I was in my office one day when Kathy Haynes, my assistant, shouted in. She said, "Hey Tom, have you ever heard of the International Dark Sky Association?" And I said, "Well, no." She said, "They will evaluate your property, and you know you can get a designation. Wouldn't it be great if we did that for Observatory Park?" And I said, "Great, go do it." And again, it wasn't me, it was Kathy, and she started working with the Chagrin Valley Astronomical Society, and Ian Cooper is here from the society, and they worked together with Terry McGowan, and they got that designation. And so, again, it's the we, certainly not the me. Maple Highlands Trail, what a great project that was. You know, we have some authentic wood truss covered bridges on that trail. And one day we were at an all-staff meeting, and I went up to the guys in the operations department, and I said, Middlefield contacted us, and they're gonna let us have access to the railroad right away they own, but they asked us for a bridge over Tear Creek. You know, can you guys build us a covered bridge? And they all